Hi, welcome to the video on how to create a magical mending slip to help repair ceramics, clay objects that break prior to the firing process. And I've actually had luck in this using this material after clay has been bisque fired. That's how miraculous it can be sometimes. It's not 100%, but it does work most of the time when I'm doing ceramic repairs. So we're going to make a slip that's different than normal slip. Normal slip just shrinks too much. There's too much water, and the cracks just kind of reappear and things kind of detach during the drying process. So the difference is we use paper, and we add that in a 50% by volume to the regular construction slip that we use. So if, let's say, I took some toilet paper because it breaks down really easy, it's very thin, and I can just tear it up into lots of little pieces. The smaller it's shredded up, the faster it really breaks down. And I'm going to put this in this tray so I don't get water all over my table. And I'm going to pour just a little bit of water into it. I just want to completely kind of saturate that paper so that there's not a puddle of water, but it's all saturated. There we go. I think that's the perfect amount. So I don't have standing water. It's not a big puddle. It's just like a kind of wad of wet paper fiber here. Okay. Now, I look at the size of that little kind of wad of wet paper, and I want to add the same amount of construction slip to that. So I'm going to kind of grab my construction slip that I've already got pre-mixed, and I'm going to kind of, maybe in a container, I'm going to place my wad of paper, and then I'm going to add next to it a blob of construction slip, which is kind of the consistency of paste, but the same amount. There we go. So they're just side by side in that container, so like equal piles, slip to paper fiber. And now I'm going to start just kind of incorporating those together, kind of mixing those up. Forks work really well as kind of mixing tools. Helps break the paper fiber up. There we go. And you can tell, I mean, it'll have this fibrous kind of texture to it, which will, noticeably be different than kind of the smooth and creamy look of well-mixed construction slip. And again, the longer this stays in a sealed container, and I always have it, label it mending slip so you don't confuse it with another slip. And keep a good fitted lid on it, and that'll always be there to help when you mend. Now, when I'm mending two pieces that break, and these are two bone-dry pieces of clay that just broke in half, and if I wanted to reattach them, I would never have luck with regular slip. So what I'm going to do is take a couple paper towels, and over the break area where I'm going to reattach, I'm going to saturate a paper towel, and I'm going to wrap it, right, just over that side that's going to be mended. And then the same thing with the other side. I'm just trying to kind of make the clay particles, kind of loosen them up a little bit where I'm going to attach. There we go. And I'll let that sit for maybe just about 5 minutes or so. And then after I've let it sit for 5 minutes, I'm going to grab my needle tool to score, and assuming that 5 minutes has passed, and it won't be quite as brittle when you're scoring it because you've softened up just that point of attachment, and score really well. And we're going to do the same thing to this other piece, score. All along the two broken parts. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to take my construction slip, and I'm going to apply it generously. You really have to be generous about how much you apply. You can't be stingy with your construction slip, and you really want to work quickly because it kind of dries very quickly. So we're going to really slather on a generous amount, way more than you think you'd ever need. And then we're going to put these two pieces kind of back together, and you want to know exactly how they fit and align, because you don't have any time to realign or move things around because it sets almost immediately because the clay is so dry. And then you have a lot, don't push it too tight, because you need to have some of that slip kind of living in between the two pieces. And then I just take a little bit of that slip that oozes out, and I just kind of spread it over the cracked area. It's going to shrink a little bit, but not as much as regular slip. And it's going to have a texture to it. And you just kind of let it set, and then you can start cleaning it up gradually as it starts to dry, using kind of, trimming tools, a little bit of sandpaper or scouring pad, but be very cautious, because if you re-break it, you're going to start the whole process over again. But it, again, if you are careful about it, and you can get this through the drying process and firing process, there's a really high percentage, maybe 95% chance that it's going to stay together and not kind of come apart again. And it is, not too structural. For a handle on a cup, I wouldn't trust it, but for something that's more cosmetic, it's pretty miraculous. So I'm going to just be careful, kind of sit this thing down and let it kind of firm up. All right. Well, good luck with your ceramic repairs.